The Philadelphia Eagles crowd roared as Andrew Makuba read Dillon Gabriel's eyes like an open book, jumped the route, and sprinted the other way untouched. In a blink, the rookie's dream preseason start turned into a nightmare with a pick six. Fans in green lost their minds, analysts leaned back in their chairs, and Cleveland's so-called quarterback battle took a sudden twist. But as brutal as that moment was for Gabriel, the real story wasn't about his interception. It was about the player who didn't even step on the field yet somehow still owned the night. That player was Shadore Sanders. What happens when the hottest rookie in football doesn't need to take a single snap to control the narrative? That's exactly what unfolded in Cleveland. Dillon Gabriel finally made his highly anticipated preseason debut, and for a moment, he looked like he might justify the hype that followed him from Oklahoma. Quick throws, decent poise, and an early rhythm suggested he was ready to push back against Sanders' rising shadow. But all it took was a single bad decision. One fumbled handoff and the aura shifted. Instead of cementing his place, Gabriel handed over momentum on a silver platter, while Sanders, sidelined with an oblique injury, found a way to dominate the conversation without throwing a pass. Social media lit up with reactions, and Cleveland fans were left wondering if the Browns even had a quarterback competition at all. Because in football, timing is everything. And Shedeur's timing has been flawless. His debut against Carolina the week prior wasn't supposed to be a spectacle. The Browns wanted to ease him in, let him get some live reps, and fade him back into the background while the veterans got their turn. Instead, Shedeur turned a sleepy preseason game into one of the NFL's hottest storylines. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and even some scrambling yards thrown in. But stats only tell half the story. What had fans and analysts buzzing was the way he carried himself. Calm in the pocket, decisive with his reads, never rattled by pressure. He looked less like a rookie in August and more like a seasoned quarterback auditioning to be a starter in September. His command drew comparisons to a young Tom Brady. His poise made defensive coordinators take notice, and his swagger made the entire league turn its head. The broadcast numbers confirmed what fans were feeling. Over 2 million tuned in, making it one of the most watched preseason games in nearly a decade. And when Nike dropped a slick 5-word campaign centered around Shedeur's debut, the hype machine didn't just turn on, it exploded. Suddenly, Shadore Sanders wasn't just a rookie quarterback. He was a cultural moment, a movement, the kind of brand that extends far beyond Cleveland's locker room. While Gabriel was still searching for his footing, Shedeur had already arrived, and that's where the contrast grew sharpest. Dillon Gabriel's start against Philadelphia had been circled for weeks. A chance to finally prove himself healthy. A chance to showcase why Cleveland spent draft capital on him. And maybe a chance to show he belonged in the same conversation as Sanders. For a quarter, he delivered. His throws were sharp, his decision-making sound, and his efficiency stood out. 13 completions on 18 attempts, 143 yards, and flashes of composure suggested he might be ready for the big stage. But football is cruel. One forced throw into tight coverage turned into a defensive touchdown. One sloppy handoff exchange turned into another turnover. Suddenly, all that momentum vanished. Analysts and fans didn't remember his completions. They remembered his mistakes. Meanwhile, Sanders wasn't even in pads, yet he was the one dominating highlight shows and Twitter feeds. That's the power of presence. Gabriel looked like a rookie fighting to prove he belonged. Sanders looked like a quarterback destined to redefine Cleveland's future. And when the Browns' general manager Andrew Berry reportedly pulled Shedeur aside after his debut and told him, "I'm proud of you," the validation spread like wildfire. This wasn't just hype. This was the organization signaling that Shadore Sanders wasn't a sideshow. He was the main event. Nike amplified it, social media fed it, and fans across Cleveland demanded more of it. That's the nightmare Dillon Gabriel found himself in. No matter what he did, every mistake looked 10 times worse because Shedeur had already raised the bar. The Browns thought they were building a quarterback competition. Instead, they created a media circus where one rookie was already crowned by fans while the other was scrambling just to stay relevant. Coaches insisted patience was the key. Kevin Stefanski repeated his mantra of evaluating everyone and trusting the process, even rolling out a behind-the-scenes docu-series to show how fair the battle was. But patience isn't in the vocabulary of NFL fans, especially not W. Cleveland's quarterback room is suddenly the most chaotic soap opera in the NFL, and it's not because of Joe Flacco's age or Kenny Pickett's mediocrity. It's because of two rookies who represent opposite ends of the same spectrum. On one side, Dillon Gabriel, drafted in the 3rd round, steady in college, accurate, smart, but not flashy. On the other, Shadore Sanders, who didn't just walk into the NFL, he stormed into it, carrying a last name built on swagger and a game polished enough to back it up. What Gabriel found out against Philadelphia is what every quarterback learns sooner or later. You don't get many chances to seize momentum. And if you blow them, someone else will take them from you. The cruel irony? Shadore Sanders didn't even have to play to take everything Gabriel wanted. That's the reality of this battle. Gabriel's stat line may look respectable, but the narrative doesn't live in numbers. It lives in perception, and perception belongs to Sanders. Coaches will try to downplay it. They'll talk about patience, learning curves, and long-term development. They'll tell you depth charts are about balance and protecting rookies from early failures. But none of that matters when one rookie turns a preseason debut into a 2 million viewer spectacle and the other rookie turns his first start into meme material. That's not just a contrast. That's a franchise-altering collision. The Browns thought they could play it safe, let the veterans hold down the top spots, bring the rookies along slowly. But football doesn't wait for carefully scripted timelines. When momentum shifts, it demands to be answered. And right now, all of Cleveland is asking the same question. Why isn't Shadore Sanders QB1 already? Gabriel's defenders will say he just needs time, that every young quarterback makes mistakes. They'll say a pick six is a lesson, not a death sentence. They'll argue that fumbling a handoff happens to everyone. But those arguments crumble under the weight of Sanders' aura. Sanders didn't just make throws against Carolina, he made believers. He carried himself with the calm of a 10-year veteran, the confidence of someone who has been doubted before and thrived in the spotlight anyway. His sideline interactions were clipped and shared on social media, showing poise, humor, and control. He looked like a leader, even when he wasn't throwing the ball. And that's what separates the two rookies. Gabriel is fighting to prove he belongs. Sanders is fighting to prove he's destined. Those are two very different battles, and only one of them wins headlines. The Browns front office knows the stakes. They invested in Gabriel, yes, but not the way they invested in Sanders' brand. Nike partnerships, viral buzz, comparisons to Tom Brady, those don't happen for just any rookie. That's momentum you can't manufacture, and once it arrives, you have to ride it. Coaches may worry about locker room politics, but the locker room is already seeing what fans see. They see Gabriel pressing, forcing throws and fumbling. They see Sanders calm, confident, and controlling narratives with nothing more than a 5-word tweet. Don't lose that energy. I'll be back soon. So 5 words that carried more weight than Gabriel's 143 passing yards. That's not just bad luck for Gabriel. That's the defining difference between them. One is making noise with stats. The other is making history with presence. And presence always wins. Imagine being Gabriel. You step into your preseason, start knowing the city is split, half waiting for Sanders, half willing to give you a chance. You string together completions, drive your team down the field, and for a quarter it feels like you've steadied the ship. But then, one mistake turns into 2. The crowd murmurs. Social media erupts. Your opponent celebrates in your end zone. And the guy you're supposed to be competing with? He's sitting on the sideline, injured, but somehow still commanding the spotlight. That's what makes this quarterback battle so cruel. Gabriel isn't just competing against Sanders' arm, he's competing against Sanders' aura, and that's a fight no rookie can win. By the end of the Eagles game, Cleveland fans weren't debating, they were demanding. They didn't want to hear about patience, they didn't want to hear about development, they wanted Sanders. They wanted the rookie who looked like a star in his first outing, not the rookie who coughed up points in his. And they're not wrong. Football has always been about moments, and Sanders has already delivered them. Gabriel has delivered questions. That's why the Browns' quarterback room feels less like a depth chart and more like a waiting room. Everyone's just waiting for the moment Sanders officially takes over. And when he does, it won't just change Cleveland's offense. It'll change the entire narrative of the franchise. For decades, the Browns have been defined by quarterback chaos. From draft busts to free agent flops, the position has cursed this team.